Going to be a great webinar today. Going to be a great Zoom that we're going to do. You're going to learn about energy and what separates energy from every other cryptocurrency out there. You're gonna really understand all the dynamics of energy, how you can profit from staking, and how you can actually profit from helping build the community, both directly and indirectly. You're able to profit both directly and indirectly from helping grow the community, which is what gives the coin value, right? It's what gives anything value. It doesn't matter if it's a coin, it doesn't matter if it's a stock, it doesn't matter what it is. Any market, what gives it value is growth, and the market actually growing. And we're seeing a lot of that with energy right now. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, right now is a great time to get involved. And I'm not just saying that for the simple sake that we're having this webinar, but this is a fantastic time to get involved. We had a bit of a pullback, but now, you know, we've kind of rounded the corner and we're surging up again. And that's kind of the zone where you really like to enter in, and you really like to enter into a market. And this here is a fantastic time to get into energy. So let's get into it. Let me go ahead and share my screen. By the way, guys, I am in Kansas, just to kind of put a face on me. I'm in the smack dab in the middle of the USA. Not too far from Missouri, not too far from Oklahoma. My corporate offices are here in Kansas. So let's get into it here. Make sure you're admitting those people into the Zoom as well. Let me pull up the chart for energy. So let me go ahead and refresh it. I want to get the most accurate price. And you guys are going to see that right now, energy is valued at $578 a coin, $578 a coin. And what's really cool is we're actually on DEX tools. So let me show you. On DEX tools, you get a real detailed chart. And I want to show you guys why this is a great time to buy. And then we're going to get into energy. Great time to get involved. So if we go ahead and we shrink this chart down to a one-day chart, you're going to see a few different things. Give me just a second here. You're going to see that energy surged up from just a few dollars to about over $170. Came down just a little bit, trickled around along at about 110 for about a day, and then just exploded up to over 700 bucks. Now, what's really cool is energy is actually, it's very healthy growth. It is quick growth, but it's really healthy growth, because as a trader, what you like to see is it come back and hit these corrections where it makes these little notches and these little bumps. But if you look, right when energy went to 700 bucks, it came down. In fact, it came down to $134 before rocketing back up the charts to over 400 bucks, and eventually spiking up to almost 1,000, came back down. A lot of people on that spike, they sold. Went back up to about 800 bucks, and then we had our pullback, and now we're on our way back up where we're at right now. And I want you to understand the significance of this coming back, hitting these corrections, this coming back, hitting these corrections, and then exploding back up. That is, guys, that when you have a long wick at the bottom of a candlestick like that, what's called a shooting star wick, pretty good indication that something is going to rocket way, way, way up. And especially when something comes down, hits a correction, and then recovers that fast, any trader, anybody will tell you, an analyst will tell you that is a good indication of some massive growth to come. Now, I want you to understand how growth happens. How growth happens is you have early adopters that that get in early, and they buy a good amount of a coin, or it could be a stock, it could be any market there is, but they buy a good amount. You get this surge up, and it goes so high that they're so tempted to sell. They just can't take it anymore, right? They're like, oh my gosh, I've made so much profit. I've changed my life. I've paid my mortgage off. I've I've paid my credit card debt, I've paid my car off, whatever the case may be. Everybody has a different degree of financial freedom. So they sell and the market comes down a little bit. But more importantly is when they sell, beans the price is a little higher, it gets broken up into more pieces. Their portion gets broken up into pieces and it gets put into more people's hands. This is how growth happens. And now you've got a bigger batch of people, all with energy in their hands. The price surges up again, which it did almost to 1,000. And they get to a point and they say, oh my gosh, this price is way up there. This is paid off some bills for me or whatever it may be. They sell, the price comes down and it gets broken up into even more pieces in more people's hands. And this same process repeats. And this is how you get growth. The more people's hands that you get a coin or a stock or whatever that market may be, the more people's hands you get that in, the more valuable it becomes, guys. So right now, we've had that pullback from some of those early adopters selling off, and we're now on our next surge up for that bigger crowd that we have in energy, and we've got it broken up in more people's hands. In fact, an interesting tidbit, just so you guys know, there are less than 7 wallets outside of staking that hold 100 or more energy. There's less than 7 wallets outside of staking right now, worldwide, that hold 100 energy or more. I want you to understand that's a very good thing. That's a great thing, because it means that there's more energy, more pieces of energy in more people's hands. You like to see that for growth. And interestingly enough, those 7 wallets that have 100 energy or more, most of those guys are vested in energy and in the project for long-term success, and they don't have any desire to sell, any good amount of coins per se. So right now, as you're looking at this chart, this is one of the best times that you could possibly get involved. I mean, you see all this healthy growth. You've got the surge up, you've got the pullback, and now you're just getting the pop back up. You're now just getting this pop back up. Really good time to get involved. I do think that we're going to see energy go into the thousands and on into the tens of thousands here fairly soon. Of course, there's no guarantees. I need to make the disclaimer on that and everything. But I do believe, my opinion is, I think we're going to see this go into the thousands and on into the tens of thousands very, very soon. So let's get into it. Let's get into what is energy and what is DeFi. Guys, in order to understand energy, you need to understand what DeFi is. Everybody's hearing about DeFi, 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 DeFi. What is DeFi? Well, DeFi is the abbreviation for decentralized finance. Decentralized finance. And it's really a play on words, because what are we doing? We are defying the centralized banking system. Right? We're defying the system. We're defying the oppression that has held average people down and prevented them from getting opportunity. We're defying all those bad things. That's what DeFi is. It's decentralized finance. It is where the community supplies the liquidity instead of the centralized banking system providing liquidity. And it is opening up the doors for people all over the world. It's changing people's lives. Guys, I'm here to tell you that DeFi will be the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. It will be the biggest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. Crypto was the first nail in the coffin for the centralized banking system. Why? Because it allowed people to be their own bank. But people still needed banks. They still needed to get loans for their cars and their homes and their real estate and all sorts of things. DeFi is changing that. And I'm here today to tell you that if crypto was the first nail in the coffin for the centralized banking system, decentralized finance, DeFi, will be the final nail in the coffin for the centralized banking system. It's that big, guys. They're saying that DeFi could be the biggest market we see in literally 10 lifetimes. Think about that. We've seen the .com boom, the dawn of the internet. That was a pretty big deal. They're saying that DeFi could completely dwarf that. It is that big of a market because we're taking away the power from the centralized banking system and we're giving it back to the people. And DeFi is doing exactly that. So real quick synopsis on DeFi, just so you guys can kind of understand. And then I'm going to tell you all about NRGY. The way DeFi works, I'm going to go back over here to the market. I have all sorts of charts pulled up and whatnot. I want to go back over here to a market. Okay, I am a trader, so I do have a lot of charts pulled up. Let's just take a look at this market, for instance. This is a market that I'm following in the crypto market. But guys, all markets in the centralized banking system are the same. Okay, whether it's crypto, whether it's stock, whether it's commodities, it doesn't matter. They're all the same. They operate on this system called the bid and the ask. What is the bid and the ask? Well, you've got these people right here in the green that are saying, hey, I want to buy. And you've got these people in the red that are saying, hey, I want to sell. And one person's asking a price and one person's bidding on it. This guy right here says, I'm going to buy this coin at 44.126 cents. This guy says, no, I want 44.14 cents. And somehow they meet in the middle and the price moves, right? Either the buyers come up and they buy from the sellers, or the sellers come down and they sell to the buyers, and the market moves. Okay. This is what we know today in every single market around the world. It's all traded on what's called speculation. Well, DeFi is much, much different than that. So let's go back over here to NRGY. And one thing about NRGY is it does trade against what's called USDC, US dollar coin by Circle. And the reason it trades against USDC is we don't have to worry about those fluctuations in the price when Bitcoin comes down or Ethereum comes down or those kind of things. But basically how this operates is cool. How this operates is I want you to think of this as a cookie jar. Okay. This is a cookie jar. Nothing more than that. In fact, the DeFi system is quite easier to understand than the system you've been used to all these years. It really is. Because here's what happens. When you trade with DeFi or you transact with DeFi, you don't set up an account. You don't log in. You don't give up your privacy. You don't have to be questioning out the yin yang. What are you doing with your money? Where are you spending your money? Who's your firstborn child? Who's your third cousin? You know, all these questions that we're so used to, this invasion of privacy that's happened the past few years. It's just been so ridiculous. You don't have to worry about any of that because you're not creating an account. You're not logging in. What you're doing is you're connecting your wallet. Most people will use MetaMask. Okay. MetaMask is a free wallet that you can download. You can have it within minutes. It's a free crypto wallet. And all you're doing is you're simply connecting your wallet. And what happens is when you want to buy coins, you just simply connect your wallet, and directly from your wallet, you reach into that cookie jar, you pull out coins, and you put in dollars. And I don't know what the deal is with my arrows and why it keeps drawing all these extra lines. But you pull out coins and you put in dollars. It's that simple. Well, what's that do? You've increased the number of dollars in the cookie jar. You've decreased the number of coins. You've decreased the supply, and the price goes up. Okay? When you want to sell coins, it's just the opposite. When you want to sell coins, you reach into that cookie jar, you pull out coins, and you put in, or you pull out dollars, I should say, and you put in coins. You put in NRGY. Okay? And what does that do? Now you reduce the number of dollars, you increase the supply, and the price goes down. Okay, this is how DeFi works. DeFi is not based on speculation. DeFi is based around the concept of liquidity. Okay, this is real liquidity, true value of a coin, true value of a coin. Okay, and so being it's based around liquidity, you're not dependent on a buyer willing to pay a price. The money's already there in the cookie jar. Guys, what NRGY is essentially done in a nutshell, and the analogy I like to give is this is basically its own living, breathing economy. This is basically a decentralized bank that is owned by the community. No one person owns this. This is owned by the community. It's really a decentralized bank that's owned by the community. Think of how powerful that is. It's almost like your savings account. You know, you're getting rewarded for providing liquidity. By holding NRGY coins and staking them, you're earning on those. And then when you earn those NRGY coins and you deposit them back in the cookie jar and you pull out dollars, you withdraw dollars, now you're putting a supply there for other people to be able to purchase the coin and stake the coin and earn on NRGY. It's a beautiful concept. So when people go, oh my gosh, this prices went up, is it too late to get in? No, this is not your typical market. This is much, much different than what you're used to. It's really a decentralized bank where this is kind of like your personal savings account. And only it has a lot more opportunity. So when I say, you know, I foresee this price going into the thousands and on into the tens of thousands, I truly believe it will do that. Now, again, you know, I have to make sure I give the disclaimer and say there's no guarantees to that. But we have a huge opportunity here. And I want to explain to you why. I want to explain to you what separates NRGY from anything else out there. Guys, this is a much, much different coin. The use case for NRGY is basically, will be the app store of DeFi, the DApp store of DeFi. Okay. Now, one thing I want to let you guys know, this is not a professional PowerPoint presentation. I am having that put together. I am having that done. It's just something quick that I've whipped up, but we're very, very early in this process. So I want you guys to understand that. You know, one thing I was talking to Peter about this week is whenever you read the white paper, how many of you guys can attest to this? To any new coin that comes out, it's almost like they overwhelm you with all this stuff that the average person has no clue about. None. You have to be basically a rocket scientist or a software engineer to understand what half that jarble is in the white paper. I mean, it's so annoying when you read a white paper and they say, you know, here's what we do. When we escrow the quantum field with the sharding field, we create this new elaborate service. It's a service. And I'm like, we're left reading white papers and going, what the hell did we just read? Well, NRGY is much different. I'm going to really simplify it for you guys in layman's terms. And by the way, I really appreciate the NRGY white paper because for an average person, it does read in layman's terms. People can get it. It doesn't have all that confusing garble that a lot of the other white papers have. NRGY is the app store of DeFi. It's really the DApp store of DeFi. What is a DApp? A DApp is a decentralized application. A decentralized application. Pick up your phone, right? You've got an iPhone, you've got an Android, you go to the App Store, you've got all these different apps. You've got apps for finance. You've got apps for health and fitness. You've got apps on games. You've got all these games that are apps. You've got apps on how you can be a better person, and dApps for this and dApps for that. You've got apps that sell products, that sell merchandise, but you have all these different dApps, right? What you don't realize is that Apple gets 30% of those revenues and they just keep it to themselves. And same way with Android, they actually get 30% of the revenues that come through the DApp store and their app store, and they keep them to themselves. Plus they're centralized. You have to give up all your privacy and whatnot. What the DApp store is, it's decentralized applications where people don't have to give up their privacy, where they don't have the censorship, and where instead of a centralized party getting a cut of the revenues, people who stake NRGY are able to share in those revenues. So how it works is we have all these dApps, different dApps that are being created upon the NRGY ecosystem. And those particular dApps, whether it's a financial dApp, whether it's a game, whether it's a health and fitness, whether it's a merchandise, whatever it may be, the developer of that particular dApp, they get 80% of the revenue. 20% of the revenue is shared back with the NRGY stakeholders who are staking at least 25 coins. Okay. 20% of all the revenue from all the different dApps are going to the stakeholders. So by staking NRGY and holding this NRGY, they're actually able to make more NRGY, which they can take back to the cookie jar and withdraw dollars, which is a really, really cool concept. They can take back to that quote unquote decentralized bank, and for holding NRGY, they're able to make more money. So 80% of the revenues go to the developers, 20% go to the NRGY stakeholders. In addition to that, NRGY will mint for 100 weeks total. Right now, we are on week 7. Okay, so we still have a long ways to go, but you can actually mint the coin for 100 weeks, and you don't. There's no minimum that you have to have. If your goal is to get to that 25 to be able to share in all the different revenues from the dApps, you can do that right now through minting of the coin. So you can actually stake your coin, you can earn from the minting, and you can earn from the dApp revenue once you have 25 or more coins in staking. It's that simple. So let's talk about NRGY and what makes it so different than anything else out there, because there's really 4 points. I do want to tell you, we just released news on Thursday that should see this price zing, and I'm going to release it again this morning. So stay tuned, because our first dApp just came out. Okay, it's actually coming out on I think it's coming out Monday. It's coming out next week. Alan will give you the exact on that. But our first dApp, guys, it's going to have an introductory offer where people can get it for free, and it's a mega service. This dApp is sweet, but they can get that dApp for free if they stake NRGY. So we'll tell you all about that here in just a few. So let's talk about NRGY. What makes it so special? What separates it from everything else out there? Well, first thing that separates it, guys, this is the world's first true DeFi coin, because there are 0 cuts to anybody. Guys, there's no developer fees. There's no pre-mine supply that somebody keeps in their back pocket. There's no influencer fees that were given to somebody who could dump a huge amount of coins on the market. There was none of that monkey business going on. In fact, NRGY was deployed the exact same way that Satoshi Nakamoto designed Bitcoin, that he deployed Bitcoin. The only advantage, once NRGY was deployed, the creators of NRGY gave up all control. They relinquished all control and gave it to the community. NRGY is not a company. It is a community of people, just as much the same way as Bitcoin. The only advantage that the creators had and the early adopters are the same advantage that Satoshi Nakamoto had and his early adopters had with Bitcoin. And that was that they were the first to get to own the coin. They were the first to get to mine it. They were the first to get to own it. Well, NRGY is the same way. But you look today, Satoshi doesn't make any cut from every transaction. He didn't pre-mine a supply. He didn't have a bunch of coins that were given away to his buddy influencer friends. None of that. NRGY is the exact same way. It's completely fair, honest, and ethical. It is an even playing field for everybody. Nobody has any more of an advantage than anybody else. Their only advantage is to get in earlier when the price is lower, so you can really reap the rewards much more when it goes higher. The same way with every other market. That's what's really cool. That's the first thing. The second thing, guys, this is the first DeFi with an elastic supply. You say, hold on, what's that mean? Is that a good thing? It means it can expand or shrink. It's a really good thing. Let me explain why. The way that a lot of DeFi coins work, okay? You see all these coins talking about staking, right? A lot of coins, you stake that coin and they continually produce this reward. They keep producing this reward. Even if no new liquidity comes into the coin, they're still producing a reward. The problem is, if there's no new liquidity coming in, they're really just printing more money. They're really devaluing their coin in the end. NRGY doesn't do that. NRGY will only produce a reward if new liquidity comes into the staking pool with NRGY. Okay? If new liquidity comes into the coin, that's when NRGY produces a reward. It will not produce a reward unless there's new liquidity coming into the to the coin. And that makes it extremely, guys, I can't stress this, that makes it extremely valuable because no other coin does that. So when we say the supply is elastic supply, there is a max cap that it won't expand past, but it may not hit that max cap. It may even be a more limited supply than that because, again, it only produces a reward when new liquidity comes in the coin. And that is a great feature to have. Got to gather my train of thought because I was going to tell you, one other thing. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Even if every single coin was minted into existence, NRGY would still have less than 4.4 million supply. So it's a very, very limited supply to begin with. If every single coin was actually minted into existence, you're talking about a supply that would be less than 4.4 million. Think about that. And then you add that elastic component to it, that it only produces a reward if new liquidity comes into the coin. That's a really big thing. Next, this NRGY is the first DeFi coin where every single holder is a liquidity provider. Every single holder of this coin has put dollars into the cookie jar. They all have skin in the game. Every single person from its inception. From its inception, the creators had to go buy the coin. They had to put their own liquidity in the cookie jar just like everybody else. Think about how powerful that is. Why is that so powerful? Because Bitcoin right now, it's trading at, I don't know what it is this morning, 60,000 roundabouts, right? 60,000 is just the price that somebody is willing to pay right now. Nobody really knows what the liquidity is behind Bitcoin. We just know what somebody's willing to give for it right now. Once those buyers run out at whatever price it's at, guess what happens to the price? The price comes down because it's traded on what's called speculation. When you have this cookie jar with real dollars on it, it's not traded on speculation. It's traded on real liquidity that is owned by the community. So you're not dependent on a buyer willing to pay a price to get out at that price, whatever the current price is. All you're dependent on is the liquidity in what I call the cookie jar. So it's the first coin from inception where every single person who holds it is a liquidity provider in the, you could call it, they use the analogy, the NRGY decentralized bank, basically, the decentralized bank that's owned by the community. Every single person is a liquidity provider. That's really, really big. The next thing about NRGY that separates it from everything else, probably my favorite one. This is truly, truly, truly decentralized. A lot of people refer to NRGY as hardcore decentralization. I heard somebody refer to it as that, and I really like that term. This is hardcore decentralization. Why is that? Because a lot of DeFi coins, decentralized finance coins, are hosted on a centralized server. And they have a domain name registered to somebody, a centralized party like a GoDaddy, for instance. NRGY doesn't have any of that. NRGY is not hosted on a decentralized, or on a centralized server. That's powerful, because what that means is NRGY is totally unstoppable. There's nobody that can stop NRGY. NRGY is hosted on what's called the Interplanetary File System, IPFS for short. It is a new technology, Interplanetary File System. It's basically peer-to-peer data storage. So whenever somebody needs to see the data of NRGY, they can pull that from multiple different places. Since it's all done peer-to-peer data storage, they could pull that from multiple different places. It is extremely secure because you're not dependent on just getting that data from one place. You have many different places that can verify that data. It is extremely secure, and it is lightning fast. It's lightning fast. Guys, there's no other DeFi coin that utilizes IPFS technology. There is a coin called Filecoin, and Filecoin stores files on the IPFS. Their coin has been rocketing up the chart too. But as far as being hosted on the Interplanetary File System, having a domain name registered to, not registered to a centralized party, I should say, that's huge. And NRGY has that on the IPFS. In fact, if you look, and we're going to talk about this here in just a few, if you look at our website, you're going to see that it's kind of a funky looking domain name. That's because it is on the IPFS, the Interplanetary File System. Pretty cool. And then the last thing about NRGY, and this is probably the biggest thing, you are not giving your money to a company. You truly have full control of your own funds, full control of your own funds, okay? You're putting your money into a into a liquidity pool or a staking contract in the form of a smart contract, okay? You can remove that contract at any time, even if the NRGY site, even if the community builder site where you're staking your coins, even if it went down, you could still go to Etherscan and unstake your NRGY. That's really, really powerful. You have 100% full control over your own funds. It's going into a liquidity pool or staking pool in the form of a smart contract. And like I said, you can pull that out at any time. There is no need to do KYC or give up any of your privacy. And this is probably the biggest point of NRGY. And I want you to think about how powerful this is. You are not at the mercy of any company. You're not at the mercy of any centralized exchange. And you're not at the mercy of any world government. Let me say that one more time. You are not at the mercy of any company. You're not dependent on a company. You're not at the mercy of any centralized exchange. And you're not at the mercy of any world government. And guys, that's what makes, these things are what make NRGY so unbelievably powerful, and why I believe we're going to see the price of NRGY really, over the next 2 years. This is going to be a fun ride, because I do believe, I think we can get into the tens of thousands, maybe even higher. The sky is the limit, guys. I'm not saying that we're definitely going to do it for sure, but look, NRGY has a real shot of competing with Bitcoin and giving it a run for its money. Think about it. NRGY has a more limited supply. From inception, every single coin holder is a liquidity provider. That's a really big deal. And then our way of growing the community, quite frankly, is better than any other cryptocurrency has ever done. We have our first dApp called the Community Builder dApp that we built. And you're able to get rewarded for helping grow the community. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. That's pretty powerful, pretty powerful. So you couple all these things together, and then some of the dApps that are being built upon this system would blow your mind. You've got a really, really powerful system. So guys, people will flock to this, and we have the potential to make a lot of money very quickly. My only question for you is, are you ready to change your life? And are you ready to get energized?